Hey, welcome everybody to another episode of CEO Open Mic. Today we're hosting Maha Otu, the rising star of women empowerment by latest SBC event in Lisbon. Hi, nice to have you.
Hi, nice to be here. Thank you for having me here.
My pleasure. I think you're the first guest that I have coming from Nigeria, where you are right now, right?
Yes, I live in Lagos, Nigeria.
Were you born in Nigeria and raised in Nigeria, or were you traveling?
Yes, I was born and raised in Nigeria. I was born in Lagos State, originally from Akwa Ibom State, but born in Lagos State, grew up in Lagos State, moved to Abuja. Abuja is the capital of Nigeria, so lived for
Hmm.
very short while. My dad was transferred, so lived in Ogun State before I came back to Lagos to after school to get a job and all of that and start my life.
Start your life because
Yeah.
I've been stalking your LinkedIn profile and I've seen you got a pretty extensive experience outside of iGaming. Like you've been UX designer before. Am I correct?
Yeah, I decided to I wanted to transition into tech and decided to learn UI UX design because I've always had this flair for art, like drawing, paintings, or whatever. I while growing up, I was kind of, artistic. So I wanted to pursue that in that field, that career path. And I did learn UI UX design at the time. And I was planning to transition before I was appointed as a director. So I took on this role and had to put that on a hold, at the time.
But so how did you get into iGaming in the first place? I mean, were you a player before, or was it just good job offer on the market and random? What's the story?
I studied industrial chemistry and I actually wanted to work in a brewery because I loved it. I did my an internship there and I really liked it. I loved the experience and I wanted to pursue a career in the beverage industry sort of. So
Hmm.
I tried, but I didn't get the job. Then I went into customer service in the telecoms industry. I did that for a short time. Then before I applied for a job, it wasn't a specific move. It wasn't strategic or whatever. So it was just a
Hmm.
decision. I just applied because I needed a job. I needed better offer. And at the time, I had no idea the sports betting it was an industry anyways. I knew there were people who placed bets. I knew about the big brands, but I really didn't know it was a thing. It was an industry where people work and there are opportunities in. I just applied. I just saw the job offer and I applied and I got the job. So that was how I started my career as, a customer care consultant and got that ground experience of how the industry works, um, customer resolution, their complaints, their pain points. I really got that experience there. It was a really, really good experience for me. It was an eye opener for me. It gave me a very good oversight of the industry. So the good starting point for me in the industry. So I didn't start from the top, I started from the very bottom and
Like,
had
mhm.
to interface with these customers first before moving to bet winner as a team lead before being appointed as a director. So it wasn't strategic. It just happened. And
Hmm.
I had to make use of every opportunity that came my way to the fullest. So that's just what it is.
Hmm. So you're like a walking example of the McDonald's approach to the career, right? So where you gotta start on the very bottom so that you understand the business and then you like grow. Uh, so how did it
Apparently.
look? No, that's great. So how did it look from the internals of the company? I suppose not everybody is being promoted a team leader, and from a team leader, not everybody is being promoted to a director. So why did it happen? Besides the fact that you're brilliant, we know that. But how? what was the process?
Process to it. It just happened. Honestly, it wasn't like there was. I had no idea of what was going on at the top or whatever thing was anything going on. So it just happened. I just got a message, from top, and oh, we need to have a meeting at this time. I'm like, okay. So we had a meeting, and next thing they're like, oh, we want to make you a director. And I I didn't know what to say. I didn't know how to react to that at the time. And at that time, back when I just came into, we just started in Nigeria, started the office in Nigeria. I did actually set up the office, and I hired the team I had to work with and all of that. So maybe all of those process was part of the decision, the decision making, process. Why they made the decision. So how I handled the entire process of setting up the company in Nigeria. So we had a call and said they wanted me to be the director, and I was shocked. I didn't know how to feel. I had mixed feelings. I wasn't particularly so excited about it because I knew it came with a
Oh,
huge
you were not.
responsibility. No, I wasn't like completely excited. Of course, I was excited because it was a huge pay. But when it came to the responsibility, I thought about responsibility, and I'm like, this is a huge responsibility, and I'm someone I hate to fail. I'm scared of failing at something when I'm giving a task and failing at that thing. I don't like
Hmm.
it. So it made me worry, how do I actually do this? Because this is not being like a manager of contact center. This is being a director of the company, the entire company, managing all the operations. So how do I go from here I am all the way up?
Hmm.
How do I actually jump the steps? What do I do? How do I manage this? So it made me really scared at the time when I was appointed. Of course, I was grateful and I was happy, but I went back in and I thought about it. How do I do this? How do I accomplish this thing? What if I fail? And about battle so many of those emotions, and I just had to realize I had to do it. I can't back
Hmm.
down from this. It's a challenge, and I have to do it and overcome it. And I must not fail. There's no option of failing in it. So, and I had supportive people around me who helped me, who guided me through when I needed that guidance and understanding of things, and how to
Hmm.
run things generally. So that's how I have gotten to where I am today.
I've recently heard this quote that out of three latest crises that we've had, me and my partner we managed to predict nine. So getting to your story, you had all those mixed feelings before you took you took the offer, but you're there now. So how many of them really happened? Like how many, all of the reservations that you have, all of the probable problems that you had in your head, how many of them actually happened?
One, it's I think managing people was one thing I struggled with at first because it
Okay.
was a different. I had issues with people, some of the staffs I needed to handle. I think that was one of the fears that happened. But aside that, I think it has been more of positives than negatives because it's been I think it's been 3 years now as a director, and imagine what I have achieved in 3 years. It's really it amazes me myself, and when I look at all of these accomplishments and these
Hmm.
recognitions, and I never those ones I never saw, I never thought of, I never planned or saw myself being there. But these things
Hmm.
has happened, and I am super grateful to God that I am experiencing all these goodness. And
Hmm.
the negative ones, they will definitely happen. These are things that need to happen so I can learn and ensure they don't happen again. Or if they do happen again, I know how to handle the situation better.
Hmm.
So that's it.
Just for everybody to know, you are the youngest director of such a big company in, I think in whole Africa. And as probably everybody noticed already, you're a woman, which again we are in the industry like dominated by men. So taking that into consideration, that makes it even more exciting. Your all of your achievements. But before we jump into that, because I wanna talk about that obviously, but before we do that, you said that managing people was kind of struggle for you at the very beginning. Would you
Yeah.
elaborate about that a little bit? What happened? What was so difficult?
Yeah, because I worked with people as a team lead at first. I worked with people who were like former colleagues and all of that. So, the
Mm-hmm.
relationship there was like, there was sort of friendship in it. So now becoming the director, I did
Mm-hmm.
not define my boundaries well. So,
Mm-hmm.
leaving room for disrespect. And, it was hard to actually get my house in order before I had to take necessary steps to ensure I define my boundaries and create a structure where everyone knows their place and accord respect accordingly.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I suppose there were some attempts to use the fact that, hey, we've been friends so far, and now you changed, and you are so hard. So did you manage to
Yeah,
keep any kind of friendships, or is it all gone now?
it's all gone. I just, had
Mm.
to let that go and had to deal with the fact that yes, you can't always be the hero in everybody's story. You will definitely
Mm-hmm.
be a villain in some people's stories. No matter what you do, no matter how you try to be nice and play nice, you will still be a villain in one way or the other. So I just had to accept that and make my decision based on that, and also tell myself I have to put myself and my career first before any other person. In terms of my
Mm-hmm.
professional life, I have to put myself, my career first. So if you're going to do something that would my jeopardize my character or my career, then I won't tolerate that. I have to.
So you are the type of the person who makes a very solid line between career and a private life. That's what I'm getting.
Yes, yes, I ensure that's separate. So we can be friends, but business is business. This is business, so you don't. We treat it as business and respect each other um, as partners in this business, either as a boss or
Mm-hmm.
as business partner in any way. It is so when it comes to the personal life, then we interact as friends or family or whatever.
I'm asking because a lot of people they say that the people in the office are like family, and we are not just coworkers. We are like more than friends and all that. So I don't get that approach often. What you say? Um, yeah, I get that, but I do understand where it comes from. Definitely.
One thing is, it's I like to work with people. I like to collaborate. I like to ensure everyone feels comfortable and everyone is heard. And your feedback and contribution is very important. You have a voice, but do not take that for granted. Do not take the
Hmm.
fact that you have the chance to contribute or chance to be part of making certain decisions, and you take it for granted and decide that you want to overrule my own decision. So there has to be that
Hmm.
boundary. You have to know when to stop and when
Hmm.
not to cross, a certain boundary. So that's just it. When we're at work, that's what it is.
Yeah. Well, that leads me to a question. You're running whole company right now, so you definitely have to do some planning. You definitely have to assess people. You definitely have to hire people. Have to let go some other people. How do you approach all that? Like, are you more like based on KPIs, on targets, on plans, or do you have more like a based on intuition approach? What's your take on that?
I work, based on planning. For example, we want to run some, let's say, campaigns or do some strategy. We need strategies to expand and expand and our visibility, our reach in Nigeria. So we need to plan. So we need to have a strategy. So I work with my team to develop that strategy. What strategy we need to implement to actually achieve these goals. So I'm want to give people chances because I was given a chance even when I didn't
Hmm.
have, the required experience. So I want to give people chances. So I like to give people the chance, if even if it looks like they don't have an experience in certain areas. I like to give them a chance to explore. I encouraged my team to learn, to always develop themselves. I learn every time. There's no year I don't learn something or gain a new certification in
Hmm.
something that relates to my career, because I want to improve my knowledge on things, and these things help me to improve processes in the organization and structures in the organization. So I always encourage them to learn something, because when you learn, you grow. You can't remain in certain position forever. You
Hmm.
learn, you grow. You learn, you discover yourself more, and you discover where you want to, you know, expand your career into. Where do you want to move into? You mean be in customer service, and maybe that's not what you really want to do. But when you learn, you actually discover what you have passion for, what you really want to learn, what is your niche. So I encourage my team to learn and expand their knowledge, because it would also help the business. Whatever you learn, you pour back into the business, and it helps you to approach things in another perspective. So this
Hmm.
this is how I like to, approach people, approach my team, and approach things I do.
From that perspective, because the problem that I have, I run my own company, so I pretty similar to your story. I just had to learn at some point, managing people, thinking about strategies and all that. And the biggest challenge that I always had was that, if you want to learn foreign language, you just go to the course, you get a certification, and you kind of know it. If you gotta learn new technology or UX or Photoshop, you just go learn, you got it. But when it comes to running the company, there's no school for that. I mean, there are schools, but
Yeah.
there's no one recipe. There's no certificate in running the company
Hmm.
in a right way. So I wanna use the opportunity talking to you, to the person who didn't really plan being on the position that you are in right now. You've been put into the situation where you just had to learn by fire. You've been put on a managerial position, and somebody expected from you, okay, Maha, from now on you run the show, and give us your best. Are there any key learnings that you could share with us, like the biggest aha moments, the biggest things that look so obvious to you now, but they were not obvious before you did it?
Like you said, there's no cost to take to on how to run a company, basically. But the best way you can learn is from experiences. And
Mm.
there are people who have these experiences. So that's how you can learn. Look for people that have these experiences, connect to people that have these experiences, and reach out to them when you have a challenge. Make yourself, acquainted with them, make friends with them. The people I'm friends with in the industry are people that have like years of experience ahead of me. So when I am in a tight corner, I can reach out to them and say, oh, okay, did something like this happen? So how did you do this, that? And it helps me make my own decision. So that's the best way you can actually learn. So you have people, some people you have maybe a mentor,
Mhm.
someone who has experience like that. It may not necessarily be in your industry, but it's still a company. It's still an experience that you can, apply it to your own industry and you make decisions based on that. So that's what has worked for me. I surround myself with people with deep experiences different um, in different aspects, not just in a certain line. I surround people with I surround myself, sorry, with people who have experience marketing and running a business, in, just different in technology. So I can reach out and okay, this I'm having a challenge here. Have you experienced this? Can you tell
Mhm.
me how I can actually overcome this experience? There's no shame in asking questions. You only learn and you get better. If you make a mistake, yes, you're bound to make a mistake, but you learn from your mistakes, and you need
Mhm.
to learn how to actually recover because some mistakes can be, big, can make some
Mhm.
huge mistakes, so
Mhm.
that's that you don't know how to recover from. But trust me, there's always a way to recover. So surround yourself with
Mhm.
people who support you, who you can gain from, who you can learn from. It's very the kind of people you surround yourself with. It's determined, goes a long way to determine the kind of person you're going to be or how you're going to run the show. So that's my most important advice. When I started out, I didn't think that one day I never even thought I would be traveling for conferences. When I started, had never left the shores of Nigeria. And I got, an invite to be on a panel in Germany. And I went there, and that was when I actually knew that, oh, okay, that was my first exposure to, conferences in the industry. And I saw the opportunities there, how I could actually put myself out there more. I have been very intentional about putting myself out there because my story has to be heard. I have to be heard. I have to be seen. I am doing something different. So it has to be seen. If nobody sees it, nobody would recognize it. So I am
Mhm.
intentional about putting myself out there and going for conferences with other professionals, people who have deep understanding about the industry, understanding the industry not just locally but internationally as well. So
Mhm.
these are things I have gathered over the years, and it has worked for me.
Speaking about surrounding with the people who have some kind of experience that you require at the moment, uh, did you uh, did you sign up to any kind of organizations? Did you look for kind of organized places where you could find these kind of people, or was it more like a private agenda of looking around your existing network, your friends, family, etc.?
No, I didn't sign up at the time. I didn't even know there could be, there were, places you could sign up. I just found out recently, there was this
Mm.
mentorship program. I would have loved to actually be part of it as well. But I had no idea about things like that. So I just stuck with, um, people around who then I had when you go for meetings, especially I think where it started was I went for one of the stakeholders meeting for all operators in Nigeria. So that was where I started networking and meeting people, making friends, and that was how it started on LinkedIn as well. I've met a lot
Mhm.
of people on LinkedIn who I have never met, and I meet, have the opportunity of meeting when I go for other conferences, and we have the opportunity of putting faces to the meeting and communication. So I was able to make this network by meeting people when I go for conferences. I meet people, make friends, and that was how I actually started building my network, LinkedIn, and
Mhm.
meeting people personally through
Mhm.
conferences.
I'm a very, very big believer into meeting people in person because don't get me wrong, I'm a IT guy, and my daily business is basically talking to people as we talk right now over the internet. But we met in Lisbon a couple of weeks ago in person, and for me that gives me a whole different picture of yourself. You're like a real human being with uh, you know hands, legs, head. You're a real person, not really just a picture in my computer. And I totally agree with you when you say about the conferences that the opportunity to meet the people, to talk to them, uh, people are good, people are helpful, and because quite often I hear from wannabe founders or wannabe directors that they're like, hey, if they know something, why would they share with me? Because that's a know-how, that's a knowledge they paid for, that's a knowledge they, spent years to get. So why would they share it with me? My experience is that if you ask, people will just tell, and that's it. As simple as that, right?
Yeah, I think so too. Like if you ask people, they are willing to. In my case, a lot of people were willing to. People I connected with were willing to help respond, and I tend to try to maintain relationships with them, not professional
Hmm.
relationships, now friendships with them. These are people I can call
Hmm.
up and be like, hey, what's up? We can hang
Hmm.
out, we can go out. So not just professional relationships,
Hmm.
personal relationships as well. And the good thing is why I'm grateful for them for not discriminating me based on age, because some people, they will discriminate based on age and be like, especially Africans or Nigerians, they are big on age. I'm not your mate's thing, you know.
Hmm.
So why should I be hanging out with you? But it
Hmm.
wasn't that case, and they were really open to me, and they've been of great value to me so far.
That's exactly the question I wanted to ask next. So knowing that you are youngest person on this level of the position, for sure in Nigeria, probably in whole Africa, knowing that you're a woman, would you say those factors help you in developing your own career and developing the company, or is it the other way around? Is it like holding you back and stopping you? What's your impression?
Mhm. I think that I'm indifferent about it. I don't have particular side to it. There are some days it looks like maybe it's an advantage. There are some days it looks like it's a disadvantage. Like one advantage of it is it makes me stand out. You walk in somewhere and
For
people
sure.
are like, who is this young lady, and you're saying
Hmm.
you're the director. So it makes me stand out. So which is an advantage. And I think it's what has actually helped to propel my career to where it is right now. Because honestly, if it was like a man, it wouldn't, be that obvious. But because I'm a
Hmm.
lady and I have this, I'm young and all that. So it makes people want to pay attention, like, who are you? So yes,
Hmm.
that's a huge advantage to it. A disadvantage is maybe that you go in somewhere or meeting with regulators or whatever, and they don't take you seriously, and they feel like you're not the person who is supposed to be here. There's someone else who is coming, so they don't really see you, sort of. So that can
Hmm.
be a disadvantage. So I don't have a particular side, a particular um I don't prefer a particular one. I'm indifferent about it. So when the
Hmm.
advantages come, I embrace it as much as I can. When disadvantages comes, I still embrace it and just work on how to make the situation better.
You're definitely not invisible. Like lots of the guys that I talk to, or during the conferences, they're like, I don't stand out. Everybody's like me here. So and with you running all the conferences, I mean, doing all the speeches and all that,
Yeah.
well, you're definitely seen and recognizable. All right, little change of topic. You're on the director position right now, and one of the things that you do called strategic. You are a strategic visionary. So let me tell you why I asked the question. The thing is that pretty often I talk to company founders, and they even manage to grow the company to significant sizes, in terms of number of people, in terms of income, in terms of visibility on the market. But whenever I ask the question about a strategy, about the vision for the company, quite often I hear the answer like, Nah, maybe later. Well, that's boring. I'm not really into that. So let's talk about that. What exactly does it mean to be a strategic visionary?
To be, a strategic visionary is to think ahead, you know,
Hmm.
see, okay, where is this company right now? Where do I want to take it to in a couple of years, and try to outline goals on how to actually achieve that vision, step by step goals. Because you can't achieve that in a day. It will take some time, a couple of years to so, but you know what you want, and
Hmm.
this is what I want for this company. This is what I want to achieve in at this time. So how do I achieve this? Then you map your goals out and see how you can achieve those goals. And you can't do it alone, mind you. You need a team to help you achieve these goals. And you need
Hmm.
your team to understand your vision, understand why it is important. So because if they understand it and they see it the way you see it, it makes it easier for them, makes them also take it as their own goal as well. So you work
Hmm.
together with your team to actually, achieve that said goal. So that's basically what it means to me.
If we were to take the average day, I mean, your average day in the office, to average out, whole year into one day, there's definitely setting up the big vision, right? Like, where do we go? Then there is, well, help me a little bit here, but I suppose there's some stating the like well defined goals, right?
Yeah.
So
Yes.
okay, so what happens next? I mean,
Action. Yeah.
well,
It's to take
yeah,
action.
sorry.
That's what next. Yeah.
What I'm trying to ask is that are you also the one involved in doing the thing, or is it more that you define what has to be done, you delegate it to the people, and then you verify if they do like well enough and quick enough? So how do you work on that?
Yeah, I delegate, most of the time to people.
Hmm.
So I we discuss and um agree on we discuss on what the goal is, what we need to achieve, and how we need to achieve it. Then I delegate because I have people to do that, and I have to learn how to. I'm someone who I like to do things on my own, but I had to learn how to actually, delegate to people, so I don't put myself under so much pressure all the time, and just learn how
Hmm.
to. It helps me to manage people better and follow their processes and ensure they're actually achieving those goals and achieving the set targets. So I delegate most of
Hmm.
the time when we need to achieve something. We have a goal we need to achieve, and we agree this is how we want to achieve it. And I delegate and let them do it, because it's not a physical work. You know, using your physical strength to do anything. It's online basically. So
Hmm.
I delegate.
How do you verify it? I mean, are you delegating the task and then coming back after a couple of weeks or months to see if it's done, or do you verify it on the way, as the time passes?
Yeah, most times it has to be weekly because of the nature of the job, so of our work. So it has to be weekly. It's not a daily tax thing, because it's not something that can you can see results in a day. So at times weekly, we check weekly, but the major confirmation of results is monthly, because when we see
Hmm.
the impact it has over the month on numbers, so we can actually really understand how um how effective the plan is, or our process was. But weekly, it helps us. When we do weekly, it helps us know, okay, if this is not working, we know we need to fix this and maybe introduce something new in the process. So we do weekly and monthly for me to verify. So most of the time, We verify through numbers how we're doing from the back end in terms of registrations, in terms of deposits, and all of that.
For the sake of all of the people that are listening to us, you would be surprised how many people, when they delegate tasks to the subordinates, they either don't really delegate, they just do it themselves, or they delegate but they actually never check the results, or they delegate and then they micromanage, which means that they don't really delegate, but basically they waste time of everybody, including themselves. So can we take a look on one of the big things that you introduced to Betwinners affiliates? Like we could talk about, I don't know. I've heard that you introduced the UX changes, which improved the results by what, by 30%, or any other big thing that you did. So let's take a look behind the curtains. Let's take a look under the hood. How exactly the process looked like, if you don't mind, if that's not a secret, of course.
Yeah, I think I can talk a little more on that. Like I said, when I came into this position, we're still new in Nigeria, sort of. So still trying to understand the markets and working as a customer service. I interface with customers, and
Mhm.
we got feedback because we have a team that does outbound calls, call customers, and to tell them about new promotions or updates or some whatever we're running new on platform. I also get use that medium to get feedback on their pain points and things they would like to see, how they would like the platform to improve. Like recently, we launched new features on the websites, on the mobile application as well, based on feedback too, on customers, make their experience as easy as possible, as smooth as possible. So when we get the feedback, we send the feedback because our development team and tech team, they're not in Nigeria. So we have, Bedwinner operates across various countries in Africa and in some countries in Europe as well. So we have one interface and mobile application for every country. So though we try to localize as much as possible, but when so our tech team, they're not based in Nigeria. So I and my team, we gather the feedback. We get the feedback on features that we need to include or process flow we need to change to ensure their experience on platform is as easy and as smooth as possible. So we get the feedback and we relay this feedback. I relay this feedback to the tech team on what needs to be changed and what we need to do to improve the process of the users. And these changes are implemented step by step gradually. It's not done because, like I said, it's one interface. So there are other factors that will be put into consideration before actually proceeding with that change, because we need to know how this change, how it affects the business, one way or the other. So before we actually proceed to make these changes. So I think that's a little summary of how it goes on in the back end.
How much time did it take to implement all the changes? Like from the moment of the very idea that something needs to be done to the moment where it was actually rolled out.
It was in stages, so it wasn't everything wasn't
Right.
rolled out at once. So it was in stages. So I think it took like a couple of months, like 3 months, for the first
Hmm.
stage to come up. Another like three
Hmm.
months, a couple of months again for new stage. So we keep iterating and updating our platform and interface every as needed. So when we have new things,
Hmm.
like we updated again last week, so we keep, if we need to update again, we'll update probably in a couple of months again, add new features and add, if it's necessary for us to add new providers as well to expand our offerings. So we will do that. So we do that, continuously. So there's
Hmm.
no wait, it hasn't ended, it hasn't stopped. So we keep iterating the platform as needed.
All right. Here's a tricky question. How many fuck ups did you have on the way? Like, how many things? I'm not asking if anything went wrong because I'm sure something went wrong. The question is how many of them did go wrong during the process
During the process of what exactly?
of,
My
of
process
the
of what?
delivery. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean the process of acting. So from the moment where you delegated to the team that hey, we gotta do something with with the platform, we gotta change it. To the so I suppose there was some low level managing of how to do it. There was some development. There was some rolling out. There was some testing. So obviously my best guess is that something was delayed. Somebody misunderstood the concept. Somebody, simply, didn't deliver. So how many situations like that happened?
I think that there were several because, like I said, the team is not here, so communication
Mhm,
is communication is sort of like a challenge, sort of, to an extent,
mhm,
because their first language is not English as well. So communication can come as a challenge sometimes to actually try
mhm,
to communicate what you want exactly. So I think there were some things that did not come on time. There's still some things that still hasn't come, and I don't know when they will come yet. So and at times you just have to be flexible basically, but I'm not sitting around and waiting for certain things to be done
mhm,
before we can move on to something else. So what we have on
mhm,
ground, what exactly are we doing with what we have on ground? So I'm here to ensure we're maximizing what we have on ground. I'm not waiting for what hasn't been done yet. So what we have on ground, I
mhm,
maximize it. We create marketing around that. Yet when customers are asking for maybe a certain feature, we pacify them and let them know, it's coming, soon. And as we keep working on that, we are maximizing what we have first. So definitely there are several fuck ups and some things that may not come when we need it to come based on maybe some business constraints or some changes in business decisions that made us look at them like, okay, we can't proceed with this right now and we need to wait or put it on hold till a certain time. So yeah, there are some instances like that, but we can't wait on until that situation is resolved. We have to make the most of what we have currently.
I'm asking because a lot of people that I talk to, they are constantly angry at their teams that things are not happening in a perfect way. Something is too late, something is not within the scope, something is like different than in the head of a person than it was supposed to be. Um, but actually, mistakes are the part of the process, and you gotta calculate that into whole risk management, right?
And that's why at times when you decide on, because when you think of something, it's an idea, you know, but you have
Hmm.
to bring in the team to understand if it is feasible because it's not every idea that you can actually bring to life. So you
Hmm.
need to carry the team along. You can't have all these big dreams and big ideas and expect that it would be done. You need to understand the
Hmm.
capacity of your team. Can they do it? So you have that agreement and properly define the requirements before you proceed with development or anything. So if you have such process, I don't think there'll be so much of any back and forth and ideas not coming out the way they are supposed to.
Agree on that. All right. One last question. I want to use the opportunity, which is pretty rare for me, since I'm talking to the person who was born in Nigeria, raised in Nigeria, runs the business in Nigeria. African markets and Nigeria in particular is a very hot topic right now, at least in Europe. A lot of people from the iGaming industry, they are either thinking about entering the market or they are already doing that. So I want to use the opportunity to get your insights about things that could be natural to you, but they are not natural for me. Um, if I was an let's say, operator who wants to enter Nigerian market? What are the specifics on the market? I mean, people talk about the inflation, that this is an issue. People talk about regulations being sometimes too tough, sometimes too random. So, are there any other things that you'd like to share?
I would say any operator planning to come into Nigeria should just have at the back of their head that, yeah, we hear the market is big, the opportunities, yes, there are opportunities and it is big like you see, but have at the back of your mind that you're not coming into a market of milk and honey where you just come in and you start scoping and start making, your profits overnight. You have to put in the work, a lot of work actually, a lot of work and money would go into your market entry and your strategy. You'll spend a lot of money into your marketing, your market entry and strategy. So you need to, because you need to you need to define yourself as a brand
Mhm.
in this competitive market. What kind of brand do you want to be? You know, because there are brands that have taken over the markets. People are loyal to certain brands. So how do you actually win them over to your own brand? So your market entry strategy has to be strong, and you would spend money. You can't come into the market and you feel like you don't want to spend so much money, but you want to make a lot of money. It's not going to work. After
Mhm.
you get your license, if you're willing to make that investment to get your licenses, you should be willing to make, much more than that into to put it into your marketing. When you come at first, you're not expecting to make, profits at first. You're expecting to ground yourself and the business first before you give yourself some time before you start getting your returns, because return is not going to come in immediately. You have to spend money first to get those customers and retain them before you start seeing your turnover. So you don't come into the market thinking at the back of your head that you're coming to Nigerian market, which they've said, do your research, do a lot of research and connect with actually people who are in the market. Because a lot of mistake that all these investors do, I have noticed, is that they come in with they come into the markets and they still want to work with teams from outside Nigeria.
Mhm.
You want to have people doing marketing in Malta, people doing marketing in Europe, handling marketing for Nigeria. How would that work? Doesn't actually work that way. They don't understand the market. They think they do based on, because what you read on paper is different from what you experience. We go to school, we read, but when we start working, we see what the difference is like. So experiences teaches you on what to do, how to handle situations. It's not always black and white. So what they read on paper based on research and all, to an extent, it can be good, but it's different from what you actually see and experience that's happened. So you have to connect to locals. You have to employ locals. You have to work with local agencies and local companies to actually achieve certain goals. Not all local companies are great, but you need to know. That's why you need to connect with the right talents in the local markets
Mhm.
to be able to execute your vision for you. And I think that's the major thing I want to say, because that's one thing I notice a lot of companies coming in do. They still come with this idea of, because this stereotype idea, they come into the market with that stereotype idea, and it doesn't work that
Mhm.
way.
Do your homework. Don't
Yes, do your
assume things.
homework.
Just no more questions coming from me. Ladies and gentlemen, that was, I'm allowed to say that, a rising star, Maha Otu. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I've really enjoyed myself on this show. It's been fun, it's been engaging, and it's been so fluent. The energy has been very positive. Thank you.
Glad to hear that. Thank you so much.